family. We're here with Bob Quinlan, the author of Earn It, Empower Yourself for Love.
For love.
For love. And this is, men and women read this book.
Yes.
Okay, so it's awesome for men because it's written in a business sales kind of jargon that they would get it. They get it.
Well, because men and women, we talk differently.
We do.
You know,
we feel differently.
We feel differently. We respond differently. But some of the things that we have in common is that we can take each other for granted, and that we still need love.
Right.
Both men and women.
And your Momstown audience are the perfect candidates for reading this book because they understand business. It's like you talk about selling directly. We do that at home as well. You know, the women give and give and give, and yet they sometimes get taken for granted. They're afraid to receive that benefit, you know, the return on investment that they're entitled to, both in business and at home.
And this is something that you kind of learned, we were talking during the break, that you learned going through your divorce.
Yes.
To your high school sweetheart.
Yeah, after 20 years of marriage, we had actually unearned each other's love. I mean, it just gradually, there was no one big crisis. It just, over years, just evolved. And when our children left, we did the empty nest syndrome.
Dissolved.
Dissolved, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's what motivated me to want to re-earn love when I fell in love a couple years later and got remarried. And I want to be partners with her when we're in our 70s and 80s. I don't ever want to take her for granted. So, and the biggest reason I wrote this was that my daughter was getting married.
Oh,
and
really?
so I want,
there you
know,
go.
every parent wants our kids to have it better than we do, but we don't tell them how. So I started making notes, and it grew into a paper, grew into a book.
Well, and I think what's also a good lesson for our kids is when we do admit our mistakes, and when we do realize the error of our ways, or what we did wrong in relationships, or what we did wrong in business, and we actually share that with them.
Right.
That's
so
a
that
great
way they
gift.
don't have to make those same mistakes.
Absolutely.
They can learn from the mistakes of others.
Now, did your son-in-law read this?
He did.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Lucky daughter.
And in fact, he told her that, because he did something nice to her, she was a little skeptical. Well, why are you doing this? He says, because I have to earn it. And he was being very sincere.
Okay, so give us some tips.
Got two great son-in-laws.
Fantastic. Isn't that nice?
Well,
Very,
gee whiz,
very
they're
rewarding.
tough
Because you
act
don't
to
really
follow.
get to choose.
I don't, exactly. I never thought anybody would be good enough for my daughters.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed with two guys that really are. And both of our my stepsons, my sons are incredible as well.
That's fantastic.
One graduated here from San Diego State. One just got out of the Army and served his year in Afghanistan. And he came back. He's taken everything.
Tell him thank you for us.
Yes.
Gladly.
Seriously.
Gladly.
Yeah. Tell him
He's
thank
quoted
you.
in the book about the things he has learned to not take this life for granted. He consistently re-earns it.
So give us some tips. What are some simple things that women can do, and men watching the show? Because we actually have a lot of men that watch the show too. And what are some simple tips that people can do to make sure that they continue to earn it?
One thing that I've been real surprised, I've had at least a half dozen couples telling me they're reading this together so that they have the same outlook and same words to talk about things. There's an evaluation form in here like you would do at work where you critique yourself before you critique your partner.
Okay. Nice.
But it's things that we do informally. This is the first time I've ever seen somebody suggesting doing this at home, but you need to be real honest and be willing to be brutally honest with yourself, because you're going to hear some things from your spouse that, you know, yes, I love you, but you might be able to do this a little bit better.
I know, and that's hard.
It is hard.
But it's important.
It is important, but it's really
Those are the things that
hard.
grow over time until they kind of become a divider at times. But if you can nip it in the bud, and none of us are perfect. No spouse is ever
Really?
going to be
What do you
perfect. Well, present company
I'm
excluded,
talking
maybe.
about you and I.
Who's this guy?
From a husband's perspective, we're never perfect.
Interview is
husbands.
Okay, now
over.
you're clarified.
Who let him in the studio?
Send him to the green room.
Yeah.
But it can be little things. The most important thing is, just like with a client, you need to ask questions. What's important to you? What can I do to make you happy? You know, you don't go into a client and say, this is what I've got, so this is what you need. That doesn't work very well. But if you go in and you ask them, what would benefit you?
Well, and I
What can I
think
do to make your
going
life better?
back to, sometimes people will, you know, treat clients, of course, better than they would their own families. That, I mean, I understand that exists, but to me it's just, wow.
Well, and I think
Because they're working for their families.
Correct. And men are proud of that. That's the way that a lot of them think that that's the only way to take care of their family. That's why you hear of men that work their entire careers and they didn't even get to know their children because my wife's taking care of that. I don't need to be involved. And then the kids are grown and they leave the home, and then dad goes, whoops, you know, I should have been around more. That's a regret that a lot of elderly gentlemen have. And that's something that they can change anytime they want. Fortunately, that's changing now. You know, this younger generation is much more involved. My son-in-laws are very involved with their children.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but before
Must
I
be
forget
brilliant.
it, I know, I'm just thinking
that's
about the
true.
one question that you asked. You were saying, what can I do to make your life better? And when you're asking people that, whether they be business clients or whether they be someone in your personal life, what can I do to make your life better? And I think, because as women, we're always taught to continue to give.
Correct.
But this is really creating an open dialogue and be willing to take that constructive criticism. Is that right?
Correct. And it's also giving the other spouse permission to offer, this is what I would like. You know, good little girls that give and give and give and don't expect anything in return. If the man will come in and ask, what can I possibly do for you? What would make your life a little bit better? Well, that gives them permission. I would like you to, whatever. Spend more time with me. Take me away once a year. Just take me away on a date once every month. It doesn't need to be anything big.
Right, and it doesn't have to involve money.
It doesn't.
I
Time
mean,
is the most valuable thing. And just spending
That's the
time with
truth.
your wife or with your children.
Well, you know, there was this book called The 5 Love Languages. I don't know if you've ever read it. It's a really good book. And how we are programmed. Like they say, I'm a talker, so I need a talker. Well, also, I like acts of service. I like it when somebody does something nice for me, you know, thinks of me, maybe will bring me coffee. So if you could know the nature of your spouse better, instead of maybe the person is like, oh, I just want to buy her stuff and give her stuff. Well, that's nice, but
That may not be what she wants.
I'm really, but if they, you know, oh, I'm going to go take out the trash. Oh, thank you so much. Or I'm going to take the kids to school. Oh, thanks. You know, things like that make,
It can be just something simple like a text. I'm thinking of you. You know, while your wife's off working, she's taking care of the kids.
That kind of stuff ends over time.
It does.
So we only have about a minute left. So
Oh, my
where
goodness.
should people go online to order your book or find more information about what you're doing?
The website is www.earnitbook.com.
EarnIt3.com.
And I'm actually starting a newsletter that will be available in the next week or two.
Awesome.
Oh,
Because
there's
a
your
lot-
website right there. Is that your lovely wife?
That is my lovely wife. That's
Ve-
Chrissy.
Chrissy, okay.
I love you, sweetie.
That's terrific.
But there will be a newsletter because people have been asking, what are some specific behaviors I can do? I'm not creative like that.
Right.
Give me some ideas. And so we're actually having a romance contest so that people can submit ways that they have romanced or would like to be romanced. And we're going to compile that into newsletters and give other people ideas. It'll be free for at least the first 6 months.
Let us know how that
That's
goes.
terrific.
We'll have you back
Glad
on
to.
again. Yeah, let us
Okay.
know how that goes because
All right.
Valentine's would be great. We'll be right back on Momstown.
Thanks, Mom.